Hey everyone, it is a beautiful day here in Colorado. I'm out doing some trail riding today, and I thought I'd do a video on how appropriate hub drive motors are for trail riding e-bikes. Um, you may be surprised at what I say about it because we've all heard that mid-drives are the way to go in the dirt and all of that. Um, but I would contest that, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later in the video. So the people that can go out and spend $10,000 on a mountain bike are about 1% of the population, or the mentally ill. So that's absolute bullshit. You don't need to spend anywhere near that kind of money to get a really good bike that you'll have every bit as much fun on. And it's just insane to me what these things are now costing. But I really, really like hub drive motors in the dirt. Um, I have never been stranded on an uphill because of lack of power. It's always some big rock obstacle, something in the way that has forced me to come to a stop and get off and do some walking or something. So many years ago, I discovered that I can have every bit as much fun on an inexpensive motorcycle as I can a, you know, $30,000 whatever. Um, so I've always bought inexpensive motorcycles, and I have so much fun with them. Same thing goes for bikes. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get something that's going to be really good. Yeah, if you're a professional racer, of course you're going to go out and you're going to drop 15 grand on a bike, or a company's going to supply it to you. But most of us aren't, and probably anyone watching this video is not a professional racer rider. So find yourself a solid bike, and you can always make changes to it if you need to. Don't buy the cheapest bike out there. Nothing will ruin your experience more than getting some crappy made bike with no power, and then your whole e-biking experience has been ruined, and you'll probably never get another one. Another thing that you really need to be aware of is that you're going to be pedaling with these bikes. These aren't things that you're just going to go out and use the throttle and fly around these single track trails. Most hub drive bikes these days that peak around 1300 watts, somewhere around there, will have 80 to 90 Newton meters of torque, and that's a ton of power for getting around on these trails. So that, with a slight gearing change from stock, which is I usually find necessary because most of the manufacturers like to gear their bikes for a little bit of top end speed and some mild hills. Here in Colorado we don't have a whole lot of mild hills. It's either up or it's down. So gearing changes are pretty common for any bike that I get. Change out the cassette, sometimes drop the front chain ring, but easy, inexpensive changes, and then you're riding the big steep hills here. Ideally, you're going to be able to test ride your bike, but there are a lot of companies that don't have brick and mortar stores, so you end up having to kind of guess. So figure out what specs you want for your bike, and then search for that through all different manufacturers, all different models, and see what you can come up with that sounds like it'll fit your type of riding. You don't have to have an expensive mid-drive bike to get out and enjoy trails like what I ride on. A good hub drive bike will get you around just fine, and you'll have a real kick doing it. So find people like me who get out on trails and actually test these things over rocks and creeks and stumps and roots and everything else, and see what we think of these bikes. I think that's kind of it, guys. The overview. Pick the right bike the first time. Don't be afraid of hub motors. They can do incredibly well in the dirt. They cost a whole lot less. You have far fewer mechanical issues. In general, your battery lasts longer. They can be great bikes for trail riding. So don't buy into the bullshit at the bike stores where they're trying to sell you these super expensive mid drives. Get a mid-level hub drive mountain bike, and there are a couple coming out recently, one of which I've got should be delivered to me next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about this bike coming in. Should be very fun, and I'm really looking forward to putting some miles on it. And it's a hub drive, a lot lighter than the bike behind me, a little bit smaller battery, but I did get to test ride this bike and was real impressed with it. So I think it's going to be real fun on the trails. So stay tuned for that. Keep an open mind as far as hub versus mid. They both have pluses and minuses, and either one has potential to be exactly what you're looking for. So hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.